Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge, episode number 30. It's incredible. Today, a special edition on Thursday with not Serie A matches played tonight, but I thought it was important to have another episode during the week because it's never enough. Let's say it, it's never enough talking about Lazio. I'm Vittorio Campanile. With me again, Federico Farcomeni. Hello, Federico. How are you?
Hello, Vittorio. All good, you? Hope everybody's fine.
All great, all great. Well, it's not great for Lazio, as we were talking before going live, because we knew Felipe Anderson had to take 2 weeks extra to recover, but it's news of today that even Wallace will be out for the next match, so he won't be able to play against Sampdoria next Sunday. So again, Inzaghi has pretty much the same men they had last week. Is this becoming an issue, Federico?
I guess so, because we've seen, in the last 6 consecutive games, we fielded the same players again and again. This will be the 7th consecutive game to have, the same starting 11, which in theory, it could be a good thing, but because of what we've seen, because of what happened during the break and everything else, and the results is not really ideal. Because if you can get somebody else another chance, especially to freshen things up, especially after losing a derby, which affects the morale, and also after that draw against Fiorentina. If you can bring somebody else into the side to shake things up a bit and change a bit the mindset, because of how things are going, is normally better, I think. Otherwise, if things were working as they were working before the break, then it wouldn't be an issue to keep the same starting 11 and again and again. But obviously, as you say, this will be an issue going forward. Also, I think we keep missing as well Basta Di Gennaro, Nani, of course, Nani, Jordao, and as you said, Felipe Anderson. So there is kind of some numbers, but it's not that we don't have the replacement. I think, there is somebody on the bench who might be useful, as a starting player. We always say Lukaku, so possibly this might be a good game for him. I could visualize him on the pitch at the Marassi doing a good game, but then hopefully Simone Inzaghi imagination is working wonders again this week.
Yeah, I think fatigue a little bit is starting to catch up with Lazio, and we were talking about that. It's not only physical; it's even mentally. To be honest, Lazio had a very tough schedule. You think Lazio played already twice against Juventus, played the derby, played against Milan, play against Napoli, play against Fiorentina. Of the top team,
pretty much every top team. Yeah, we miss Inter. We played 30th of December, but that's pretty much it. Yeah,
and you have to add the Europe League was there with a lot of tough matches. So it's not easy to be mentally always there in the match for 95 minutes, especially when you don't have time to have a break. Okay, next Sunday you're not playing, you're on the bench, you have time to relax a little bit. No, Luis Alberto is playing Sunday, Thursday, Sunday again, etc. So maybe you're not tired physically, but mentally you are, and so that's why you need a little bit of rest. And the key players of Lazio didn't have this chance, this luck, this beginning of the season, because as you were saying, Felipe Anderson was out, Nani didn't play that much, etc. So I believe that's one of the reasons. And Kilkito, for example, is saying, for me, it's that the 3 key players are off form. Alberto, Milinkovic-Savic have been dreadful in the last 2 league games, and Ciro looks jaded.
Exactly.
I also don't rate Lucas as high as you guys. It's right. Football, I don't know if you agree with me, Federico, but football at high level, you have to have a very good manager, But at the end of the day, are the top players, the key players that decides a match, especially when it's close. So, if your key players are not in top shape, are not playing at the best, then you will struggle. And Milinkovic-Savic, it's a difference maker like Luis Alberto. If they don't play well, then I don't want to say Lazio is an average team, but it's not as good as we saw it before. So I agree with Kikito. That's one of the reasons why Lazio's not playing that well.
You're there? Yeah, I'm there. No, I don't know if you can hear me because there was a problem with the with the audio.
Yeah, I can
but
hear you fine.
It's interesting you're raising this issue actually because after we talked with you after the Fiorentina game and what I thought maybe we're underestimating one thing, which is actually Milinkovic-Savic and Luis Alberto being called up for the very first time with the respective national teams. And as you say, mentally, this will impact on you. Not because he's been to China to play, not because, the Luis Alberto has played any relevant game with Spain. But in fact, the only fact of being called up, what I fear is they probably feel like, okay, we made it there. So they need extra motivation to make, the following steps. So what's ahead? They need another target. They need another goal, which, it might not necessarily be a very long-term goal. Maybe Luis Alberto might start thinking about the World Cup. Maybe, possibly, which is a perfect target. But in order to get there, it needs to be consistent. So, it might be not even, long-term goal. It could be, short-term goal. But, they must be good enough to find, proper motivation for a new target. And obviously, I think, and I know, and I'm sure Simone Inzaghi is working on this. He will have noticed this. But he needs to act quickly. Otherwise, it's just, a matter of one or two more games and the season might, turn around for the worse. Whereas we want it to be the opposite. So it's a very important thing. This one, actually, we know Immobile, obviously because of the Italy setback and everything else. But they need to strike back. They need to. He needs to strike back, whereas they need to find extra motivation, which is not easy.
Yeah, as we said in the last podcast, the impression is that Milinkovic-Savic is trying to play more like a freestyler and show his skill than winning matches. So that's
exactly that's why. Yeah, that was the point.
Yeah, it makes totally sense what you were saying. Jan is asking, is it Lazio playing worse because team have figured out tactically how Lazio is playing?
Well, that's what you were saying last time out.
Yeah, I mean. I don't think it's that. It's more the fact that Lazio, that Inzaghi hasn't got any other options. Inzaghi can change a little bit tactics, and we saw Milinkovic-Savic playing near Immobile, Luis Alberto playing in that position, etc. But Inzaghi hasn't got, for example, in Casado to put in and play with two strikers, or Felipe Anderson to come in and play in a different role. So
exactly.
To be honest, in the last 3 weeks, Lazio had like 12, 13 players available, and they're pretty much all the same. So it's not that Inzaghi could have all those options to change tactics. So
yeah, it's a matter of, as you say, it's a matter of finding also the way to surprise, the opponents time and time again, which is obviously not easy. But then, if you read through the stats, we also know that Lazio scored 14 goals from set-piece situations this season, which is a league high. So it means that, Lazio, they've done their homework. They keep doing their homework, which is great. So that's the way they keep, surprising the opponents. Because, we think it might be fluidity. Football is not as fluent as it was before, so possibly that's from where the lack of surprise comes from. But in fact, it might be a different thing, and it's quite encouraging for me, thinking that Lazio are actually the best in taking the chances from set piece situations is great. But then, we face Sampdoria, which you were mentioning, obviously the depth of the squad, the power of the substitutes. And some, for instance, they are the team in Serie A who has scored the most goals, in terms of, substitutes coming on from the bench, 5 goals, which, they don't sound as many, but still, that's the best in Serie A. So, which means, they can use Gianpaolo is clever enough as well tactically to use these situations to use his bench, which is great for them. Hopefully, is not bad for us when we play. But that's the stats. We need to read through them carefully, and that's something they have, whereas we lack at the moment.
Walid Mohammed is asking, do you think Inzaghi should be changed a little bit more? Play 3-4-3 or 4-3-3. He can go 3-5-2 or 4-5-1. Do you think Inzaghi is sticking too much to the 3-5-1-1?
Yeah, possibly, yes. But we talked about this the other time, and the only other option we see is like Milinkovic playing with Luis Alberto behind Immobile, if he wants to keep going with the 3-man defense. Otherwise, if they want to revert to a 4-man defense, I'm not sure they're prepared to do it, and I don't see it as a real need at the moment. Although possibly last season, if I remember well, I think they kind of switched more often from also during games, if I'm not wrong. Something which we haven't seen this season.
No, but they have the players, Basta, Radu, they are able to play in that position. What Inzaghi said this summer that was very interesting is that at the end of the last season they made a review, and the thoughts was that Lazio was struggling in defense because the defenders, better, all the team wasn't a little bit unsure about the movement, because as they change tactics very often, the movement weren't so mechanically, weren't so automatic. So that's why he decided this season to stick with the 3 central defenders, so that the movements are always the same. And so he's changing, let's say, from midfielder up, where the players are more free to invent and doesn't have to stick to defensive position.
So the only other option is 3-4. I don't know, 3-4-3. Yeah, 3-4-1-2 perhaps. If he goes with 2 strikers, it might be another option. Yeah.
And 3-4-3 without Felipe Anderson, you don't have the players, I believe.
Exactly. Maybe when he comes back. Yeah, because he's coming back for the Zulte game next week. Is it?
I hope so. Crossing fingers. I mean,
possibly. He should make a return.
It's like 5 matches that he should.
Yeah, that we keep saying. Yeah, he's coming back. He's coming back. He doesn't come back.
Since we signed Nani, I'm thinking, wow, I would love to see Lazio playing with Nani, Immobile, and Felipe Anderson. Yeah, maybe they're out of balance. It's too offensive team with Luis Alberto. But think of the other team who has to prepare.
To counter.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
I agree.
And as we said already, Murgia is in a tricky position. Again, as Walid Mohammed saying, maybe Inzaghi made the wrong call at the 83rd minute to put in Caicedo instead of Murgia. He said, does Inzaghi needs a wake-up call? I'm not sure he needs a wake-up call. I mean, he's doing a terrific job. Of course, he's human, Inzaghi has been probably one of the best managers in the last year and a half, but he's human, so he makes mistakes.
But it depends, because when did Caicedo come on? That was in the game against Fiorentina, but
yes.
Were we winning 1-0 or we were?
Yes.
Yeah.
He made the
okay, so because when I was at Goodison Park for the Atalanta game, and I thought Atalanta were leading 2-1, and they might have thinking, Gasperini might have thought, okay, let's protect this, whereas he took off a midfielder and sent Cornelius in, and I thought, well, that's actually a good message is given to the game and to the team that it actually really wants to win this game. And then, they went on and won 5-1, which was obviously not a normal scoreline. But, if Inzaghi was thinking, possibly wanted to give a different message to the team, and he thought, okay, let's put Caicedo in. But actually, obviously, with the benefit of insight, we think, well, actually could have protected the lead, because for how Lazio is playing at the moment, they might need a result rather than the performance. So it was better probably to protect the 1-0 rather than risking something else. But then if we see how they consider the equalizer, is just it probably is not related, is not strictly related to that.
I agree.
Because of what happened. It might have been Murcia there doing the same, and then the referee might have given the penalty anyway. So,
and one thing. Stefano Pioli was doing this a lot, trying to making risky subs or attacking subs to send a message to the rest of the team. But often, I don't know if you had my same thought. The sub was too risky, and you send the message. But if you start playing like 2-4-4, then the other team will have better chances to score.
They will score.
And you're making a favor to the opponent team instead of sending the right message. So, yes, you have to send the message, okay, guys, I want to win the match. That's why I'm doing this sub. But, of course, you have to keep the balance, or a little bit of balance of the in the team. And I think Inzaghi is doing this. Again, there are not very much option in front, especially. Now you have only Caicedo. So Inzaghi hasn't got those many options.
Yeah.
So that's one of the problem. Ramel Gendi saying clearly the international break affected us massively. Also with Italy going out, it's affected us with Parolo and Immobile not being at their best lately. 3 games after the break now, and we have been shambled. Inzaghi has to blame for it too. And he's saying that he see Lazio losing against Sampdoria. This is a tough match.
Okay, you go.
It's a tough match, obviously. Sampdoria is playing really well, even though they lost against Bologna, and Bologna was 10 men down for the second half.
Exactly.
So it's a tough match because Sampdoria is playing really, really well at home. But I want to see a reaction, especially what happened against Fiorentina, that embarrassing penalty. They have to prove to be a team. They have to play really with the eye of the tiger. I want to see fire in Lazio player.
I agree with this, but obviously it's normal to fear we might lose the game, but we have to think this comes because of the recent performances. But then, as you say, look at Sampdoria. They just lost 3-0 at Bologna, and that was actually the first time they failed to score in 19 Serie A rounds.
Wow.
So, stretched between this and last season, which is quite a poignant statistics because of which means it's not that suddenly they're bad, they're a bad team, but it means that we're not in a very good moment, but they're not in a perfect moment either, to be honest. So and also obviously you have to think, yes, we go in there to Genoa, so you think, well, we might lose because actually Sampdoria, they are the only side with a 100% home record in Serie A this season. So they played 6 games and they won 6 home games, which is pretty impressive as well. And they just they played the Coppa Italia. Yes, Gianpaolo made some rotation there, but they played against Pescara. They won 4-1 pretty comfortably. Still, they played an extra game in midweek, which we didn't play. And also, in Italy we like to be superstitious, and I've looked at the stats with the referee, which is Mazzoleni, and we have a great great results with him, because we won 15 games, drawn 5, lost 6. And of those 15 won games, one of them is exactly the reverse fixture from last season in Rome, when we won 7-3. And another game this season is the game we won in Turin against Juventus, which is good omen. And then whereas Sampdoria, they have a negative results with him, so it's 6 wins, 5 draws, 8 defeats, and we have to consider this as well. And also the fact that Lazio became a kind of a bogey team for Sampdoria, I think, because in the last 11 games, Lazio have won 8, which is pretty impressive. Whereas I think Sampdoria have only won one of them. So it means the Lazio somehow they like to play Sampdoria home or away. Marassi is normally a stadium where Lazio like to play. We have very fond memories of the ground itself, perhaps because it's the most British ground. Yeah, except from Genoa. But when we play Samp, normally is great for us. Most of the times, not every time, but most of the time.
And I believe Sampdoria is proving to not be a top team. They beat Juventus, great point, and when they have to confirm that they reached that level, of course not the level of Juventus, but a team who can compete for the Champions League, they lost against Bologna. That's the typical message of a team who doesn't believe that much in themselves. We beat Juventus, wow, celebration, and then they lose against Bologna. And maybe they lost their confidence, and Lazio should attack that because Sampdoria is proving to be a team that in a match can beat probably everybody at home, but who's not focused that much, and so Lazio coming off these 2 bad matches should be really concentrated and from the beginning start really hard and put Sampdoria under pressure to win this match.
Yeah. I agree. It's although if we think about only the mental side of things, and as you say, it might be a draw eventually, but then a draw really, it doesn't. Yeah, it might move the table, but it might not. It won't shake things up. We really need to shake things up. So nobody really wants a draw. They don't want a draw either. So it's
and against Fiorentina, if Lazio would have won, now the position would have been very good in the table. So a draw now, it's like a lost match with a win that is 3 points. So, and the other teams are like flying. Think about Napoli. This Friday there's Juventus and Napoli-Juventus, who's going to be a very interesting match. Someone is going to lose point, obviously. So Lazio have a big chances. Milan with a new manager, don't know what they're going to do. And as you said, Sampdoria played the Coppa Italia this week. Of course, they made a lot of changes, but that's mental energy they're going to lose. So it's going to be tough, absolutely. I don't think it's going to be, a walk in the park. But I believe Lazio's favorite, even without Felipe Anderson, etc. I believe the team is going to step up and prove they're still a team who can compete for the Champions League.
Yeah, something needs to, as you say, clicks. If something clicks back again, then Lazio might be happy until January. But they need to rediscover that spark, which we seemed to have lost. But I wanted to raise another point with you because you were actually mentioning how Inzaghi they talked with the team in the summer over the defensive issues and how to make the defense more solid. Whereas today, I was reading that Strakosha is actually top in Serie A for number of saves, and is actually second in Europe for number of saves, which one might think, that's pretty impressive from him, a great keeper, which is it might be true, but at the same time you feel like, okay, is that him? He is good, but isn't that probably our defense is a bit overexposed as well, which is kind of strange, because if you think they actually talked about it. They actually, tried to make sure the defense was a bit more solid. And then, the statistics come up. Is not really what I'm wishing to see somehow. Then, you can read it in different ways. But, you don't expect them to concede as many shots, perhaps.
Yeah, you're right. And that's a stat that can be a little bit concerning. But as we said before, let's not forget that Lazio played against Juventus, Napoli,
Yeah,
Milan.
yeah,
So
true.
the schedule of Lazio, it's probably the hardest of the top teams. Let's think about Roma, for example. They played, Inter and they lost, Napoli and they lost. Apart from that, they didn't play against any other good team. So
Well, they played us and they won.
yeah, but
Oh
how.
no, actually, did they play Florence? Yes, they
Yeah,
won
they
in
play
Florence.
Fiorentina, but
They won in Florence. Yeah,
Fiorentina, it's a lower level.
it's a bit strange. Yeah,
Yeah.
you never know.
But uh, I believe Strakosha is probably the best goalkeeper at the moment in Serie A. He's been terrific.
Because yeah.
Big surprise because last year he played well.
Yeah, he wasn't even under contract when was that? Not last summer, 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a contract. Yeah.
Last summer, in the deadline day, he was very close to Southampton. Could it be? Anyway, an English team. And Tare said, no, he's staying with us. He was the third goalkeeper at that point. And last season, he played well. He made a couple of mistakes. But this season, he's been amazing, Supercoppa, during the season, even in the Coppa Italia final in June, he was probably the best player on the pitch for Lazio. His growth it's nearly unbelievable, and I don't know if I'm rating him too much, but at the moment,
it's true. But actually, I'm telling you this because sorry if I keep mentioning my away game
it's a very
in Liverpool. But also, when I was talking with some Atalanta fans in Liverpool last week, they actually said Strakosha is the best keeper in Serie A at the moment. Which I was fairly impressed to hear this comment coming from them, because I actually said, "Oh, really? You think this?" But it's just something we say, but also something that others can clearly see, which is quite encouraging in this respect.
One question: do you think the stats you just mentioned has something to do with the performance of Lucas Leiva? Now, it started a fight on Twitter. I don't know if you followed.
Okay.
On Lucas Leiva, some fans thought that I didn't see very well the match because Lucas Leiva was terrific as usual. And others said, no, Lucas Leiva is low, etc. What's your thought? Do you think Lucas Leiva drop a little bit? Do you think it's related to that, or
no? Because when we were talking in the last podcast, and I said actually it's probably because we expect more from him. But then when we were talking, I was scrolling through the stats, and I was thinking I'm an idiot because I was looking at the stats, and it was like the top player in terms of recoveries. He was the top player in terms of aerial duels won, of tackles, of lots of stats. He was really top, and I thought, well, actually, he was doing his duty. Only I couldn't see it because what do you expect from him? Even aerial duels, he was doing well. Recovering the ball, that's what you expect from him. He was doing it. So, what do you expect? Probably we expect more distribution. But for that we've got Milinkovic. Barolo is there as well. So it's
my thought was
it's a bit too much.
Especially in the first 15 minutes, he struggled a lot to catch up with Chiesa, who is very fast and tactic and skillful, and he struggled a little bit, shown to be a little bit too slow on the aerial. No, I saw him already. He's really good. He played in the Premier League a lot, and that probably teach him how to be competitive, even if he's not very tall. And you see it, he's always there when the ball is flying, and if he doesn't get it, he puts the striker in a difficult position. So, but I remember his match against Juventus and against Milan. He was amazing. He was really impressive. So
So do you think he probably tends to shine in just big games?
No, I think, as he said at the beginning of the season, he still have to adapt to a new team, to a new football. I believe he can do more. He can do better. but there's gonna be a little bit of up and down till
Mm-hmm.
he's. Uh,
Yeah.
and the question is, for example, against Fiorentina, did he have that problems because Milinkovic-Savic was too intent of doing freestylers more than
Yeah.
helping
Yeah.
in defense, etc.
Possibly.
Because
Yeah. Possibly. Yeah. Yeah.
we talk about single players, but they're playing
Yeah.
together. So
Mm.
if I play near De Vrij, probably I look better than if I play near Bonucci now, and things like that. So
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is all related, and
Mm-mm. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
I think that's one of the reason why Lucas Leiva didn't shine. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, but
But
we have to say also he's playing more than Biglia
yeah,
on
and
average.
and
So he's doing, better than I thought in the summer, to be honest.
and he's more a leader than Biglia. I don't know.
Mm. He's more, yeah, probably more vocal as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
yeah, on the pitch,
And
which
even
is good.
outside, I think, even outside. And
Mm-mm.
we discussed with Alice there in the summer. I thought, and I still believe that Lucas Leiva is the perfect player for Lazio. Lazio need more a player like him that recovers the ball and
Mm.
put like
Yeah,
a wall in front of the defense.
yeah, an effort. Yeah. I agree with you also because when remember 10 years ago when Dele Rossi was or Reia even were talking about silent leaders, and I thought, who the hell need a silent leader, to be honest with you? Because I want somebody on the pitch who speaks, who talks to his teammates, who makes his presence heard and seen. That's very important for Lazio because we don't have like a world-class player who, he doesn't speak and everybody follows because he's the best player in the world. No, we always need, somebody, as you say, somebody with that kind of personality because otherwise we're missing the point here. We're not that Lazio of yesteryear or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
We have to face reality and welcome different kind of players.
And he has experience, he have international experience playing 10 years with Liverpool. So
Yeah.
he has that thing that Biglia probably never had. So I said he's the best signing of the summer, and I still believe it.
Yeah, it's true because he's proved to be quite consistent somehow. Anyway, in terms of
Yeah.
physically and everything else. Because what my fear was, with Liverpool he had several injuries. He wasn't really, and he's like 31, 32. So we thought, well, he's
younger
actually
than
coming
Biglia.
here. Yeah. Oh,
It's true.
actually, yes. Yes, it's true. It's true.
I
It's
know.
true. But then I thought, is he coming at the twilight of his career? But in fact, he's proving that, he's adapting pretty well.
Yeah.
And that's really surprised me somehow.
Another good signing of Tare because he took a player who wanted to show that he has still something in the tank. He came to Rome to prove that he's still a player. He came here, well, not here to Malta, but here in Rome, to prove that he wants to get back in the national squad. So, it's a player who came to show that he is still a quality player, and to be honest, he showed it. So I'm quite happy about Lucas Leiva and his signing. We have another message from Simon who say that he's enjoying the pod. Thank you very much. Even if he's not a Lazio fan, he's a neutral football fan. But he finds this enjoyable. Thank you very much, Simon. Question. If you could choose one ex-Lazio player at their peak to slot into the current team, who would it be?
Brilliant question, eh?
Yeah.
Who would it be? I don't know. You go first, I think, because I've been asked this question already like a month ago on a local radio, and I said it was at least 3 players, but
probably.
Well, my favorite would have been Sergio Conceição, but then I wouldn't see because he's an old-fashioned player. But nowadays, he wouldn't be able to, to play in this team, I think, because, it was a different football. It was a different role. There's no the classic number 7 anymore. It was the proper classic number 7. I don't see any other player like him who, went to the byline and then crossed in. He went almost to the flag of the corner and crossed into the area.
What a play. I loved him. I really did. But probably the 3-5-2 doesn't fit that much because he has to defend a lot.
Exactly.
Maybe
he had Panker on the back, so
it
was different.
My first thought could be Pepe Signori.
Yeah, but then you have a similar player. I don't know. Immobile maybe is a bit similar in terms of moves.
Put them together, that could be very interesting. Veron,
explosive. Yeah, Veron obviously. Yeah,
Veron probably is the playmaker that Lazio doesn't have, but I would say no Italian team has it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, obviously, I would always think about Nedved and
I was thinking maybe Nesta as well, and you put it there in the defense and
the Fry Nesta. Yeah,
the Fry Nesta.
It would be great. Yeah.
You don't need the keeper anymore.
Yeah.
And Simon finishing asking, Wonder, do you generally support other Italian teams in Europe?
Tough question, this, eh? Okay, you want me to go first?
Yeah, this time you go first.
Okay, no. Normally, I mean, since I've been living in the UK, most Italian teams, yes. But when I talk to my friends in Rome, they always say, "You're mad. You're supporting this team. What are you doing?" So it's it's a bit of a mix and match. Normally, to clear my conscience, I would say in Italian, I don't know in English, but to clear my inner feelings, I would say, okay, let them get to the quarterfinals, and then, if they go out, I'm okay. But then, I want to push them until the quarterfinals at least. Then, whatever happens, I'm not responsible. I won't support them anymore. That's what, my compromise with myself.
I usually support nearly all the Italian teams. There's one that I don't support, obviously.
Of course. That's impossible. That's impossible. This year I was at the stadium when Roma played Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and I thought I was telling to myself before the game, okay, I don't care about this game. I actually want Roma to progress. So who cares? I don't want them in the Europa League. I want them to do well in this game. But then when they went up 3-2, I thought, God, can I really hope for the win? So when actually Chelsea scored, when Hazard scored, I celebrated because I thought, come on, I can't hope Roma to win this game. But yeah, it's really tough. And then I was also at the reverse fixture in Rome, and that was really, really horrible. So when you're in the press box and you expect people to be neutral, but in fact, Roma journalists were banging the seats.
They're terrible, honestly.
It's terrible. An experience at the press box at the Olimpico, even at the derby, it's incredible because you see all the kind of people you wouldn't expect to be there. They're there. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's mad. It's mad.
To be honest, it's wrong even the other ways. I've been to Lazio matches, and in the press box you had journalists or supposed journalists with a scarf celebrating, etc. We're doing this podcast, this is different, but if you're doing the journalist, you have to do the journalist, and you have to
keep a bit of your emotions in check a bit. But that, again, I remember derby game when we lost we scored 1-0 and then we lost 2-1. Vucinic scored twice. We missed the penalty that game. Roma seemed like they were heading for the title, and we looked like we were going to relegation. So that was really a very intense derby game. And I remember, all kind of things going around me. And then, I reacted somehow. And then one of the Lazio press officers came and, tried to reprimand me for what I was saying. Whereas, this wasn't happening for the Roma guys. It's a different attitude as well from the press officers or from what, the club expects from you. Yeah. So Lazio were expecting us to behave, whereas, Roma really didn't care what, journalists did. So that's another difference, I think.
Yeah, that's another discussion we're going to have in another podcast because it would take more than 1 hour.
Yeah, it's true. But
some of the behavior of journalists are terrible in the stadium and outside as well. So
outside, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
Uh, but yeah, there are so many Lazio players that I would love to bring back. I, I, I think one of the most bad things of football is Peppe Signori who didn't win a title. That's something
Mm.
I cannot
Oh, that's
forget.
true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because he left for us. He left in December '97, where
Yeah,
we were about to win a lot of stuff, and he left. Yeah, that's true. It's a big regret, but it must be a big regret for him as well, I guess.
yeah, of course, of course. But
Mm.
he couldn't stay with Ericsson, so that's why he
Mm-hmm.
had to leave.
Mm. That's a shame, though. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I don't know. Yeah, Ericsson probably couldn't really. It's strange because normally Ericsson was really good in, handling big egos, or
yeah, that's
he proved it, and but in that case, he just couldn't really, handle the seniority situation, which is quite bad. Yeah, it's true. It's a shame.
we have Carl Thompson, who's talking about Inzaghi. I think a victim of their own success, perhaps. I don't think many would have expected the winning start, bar Napoli. I was never going to last the whole season. Also, with the squad being relatively small, you have a lot of playing 2 games a week with Europe League fixture. Past couple results haven't been great, but think tiredness physically and mentally seem to be setting it a bit. 8 more games till the break in January. Hopefully, with that, a couple of more signings to bolster the squad for the second half of the year. I cannot see Lazio
Mm.
signing 2 players, honestly.
No,
I
maybe
hope,
one. Hopefully one.
maybe
That
one
would
very
be good.
good. There is the
Mm.
money this time available, and
Mm.
Tare have proved to be very good in the past years. So
But actually, do you remember any? I don't remember now, but do you remember any major signing in the month of January? Because I don't really remember one,
I,
to be honest with you.
I'm going by heart, but I think the only great winter signing for Lazio was when Ballardini was there and Lazio was risking to get relegated.
So what
They
was
got
that? It's a
Diava,
it's a
Diaz.
Sbergen. Okay, yeah, yeah. It's true. Yeah, we bolstered the defense
Yeah, yeah,
somehow.
yeah.
So they were in January. They were January
Yes,
signings.
yes,
Diaz
yeah.
as well is true. Yeah.
So, but
Okay. But then you would expect someone else to
yeah,
this in this case.
I don't remember other great signings in January,
Hmm.
but I could be wrong.
No.
But
Yeah.
this
We
time
need
there
to
is the money.
investigate.
So, uh, and I think we need another striker because Casado can play uh, instead of Immobile, but it's not the same type of player.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Palombi, it's a player I want to see. He's interesting, but
Mm.
obviously he's not that level. And
Mm.
we've been talking about Felipe Anderson coming back, but we don't know in which condition or what level will he come back. Will it be the Felipe Anderson we saw this summer that was amazing, or a player who have to, play for a month before getting back to his top condition?
That's true. Because otherwise, if you keep him, then if you keep, probably Lazio need to find another way to play around him, and I fear there's not enough time to do this.
Yeah.
Obviously, considering also yes, we'll have a winter break, but players will go, to Dubai or Maldives or wherever they want to go, because after, they will play a lot during December as well. We will have a Coppa Italia game on the 26th. We will play Inter on the 30th. We will play another game on the 23rd. They will play again in January at the beginning. So, it's a massive test, and they won't have enough time to to experiment and to do different things. I would like, as you say, I would like to see Palombi play a bit more, but possibly he hasn't achieved that kind of level yet, which is a shame, because when I watched him last season with Ternan, I was doing, great things. But then, there's always those extra steps to feature. So this leads me to think, do we need second team as like Lazio be playing, like in Spain or whatever, which is a major debate in Italy in the last few months, and it might actually happen at some point. In order to make sure these players don't get lost and they actually have the chance to improve their the gaming time and the performances and everything else at a very competitive level, which possibly I thought, Serie B might be, but maybe it's not enough. Maybe one season is not enough. Maybe you need one season and then another step up. It's like there is a step missing between Serie B and Serie A, which, that might fill the gap.
Yeah, there is a big question. From Primavera to the professional level, there's a huge gap at the moment, I believe. And my thought was that Salernitana could be a sort of Lazio B. But if you see in the last at least 3-4 years, all the Lazio players that went there didn't play that much, with the exception of Minala. Or the others, even Strakosha played like 3-4 matches and then was benched.
That's true.
It wasn't very useful, and that would be a great move. Now the Primavera, have changed the system. Now it's a better league. You're not playing in your region only, but I don't know if this helped to fill the gap. And Lazio had a lot of very promising young players who didn't make it to the first squad. Now with Inzaghi, things have changed a little bit, but there's still a lot of players who have a question mark. And Palombi played really well last year in Ternana. Don't forget, he wasn't in the starting team at the beginning, so he had to fight to find his place there. He scored a lot. He improved. I thought he was ready. Obviously, we're not talking about a player at Immobile level. He will still have to learn. But I don't think he's far away from there. But he needs to play, obviously.
Yeah, it's true. And, the same goes for other players like, Oikonomidis. I had big expectations for him. But, it's Arus. I think is he went to Denmark, so he's not really ideal.
And he didn't play that much even there. He had the
16 games or 15 games. Yeah,
he had a terrific season with Primavera, and Pioli made him play in Europe League. He
used to score so much.
Pioli made him play in Europe League, and I thought that was just the starting of his career. Instead, it's pretty much where he stopped. Even at Salernitana, he didn't play that much. And I thought with Inzaghi, he had the best chances. But, he didn't play. He's out of the squad at the moment. I don't know if they're going to find him a place in January somewhere else. But it's a shame. Because
it's a shame because he's now 22. So, that's the right time to, to make that step forward, to make the leap. Otherwise, it might be too late at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if training with the rest of the team will help him improve, but he still needs to have some play time, and pretty much in the last 2 years he didn't have that. So I'm concerned we are losing a player.
That's true. Yeah, that's a proper shame. So let's see how things go. And Lombardi, is I don't remember where Lombardi is now.
He's with the Benevento with
Cataldi, true.
Right?
Cataldi, but it's true. Is he impressing? I don't know. I haven't really followed him, so I don't know. No. It's a shame as well because if you remember scoring at Atalanta, he's also 22. So
he started really well last season.
But it's good that he's playing a Serie A team at least. Although obviously Benevento not the very best, but that's it's good that he's testing himself regularly against top opposition, so hopefully he'll be back.
We have
stronger.
Moses Al-Habib who's saying Adsmon is the best replacement for Ciro. Do you think he's coming?
Who is?
Adsmon. The
Rostov player. He was supposed to come. He was supposed to come, but then he never made it.
Well, it looks like They asked for 22 million euro for him.
Jeez. Okay. That's
He's really promising.
based.
He's really
Yeah.
promising to be true. I really like him. I think he's gonna explode, and probably Lazio would have been the perfect fit for him.
Mm. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
22 maybe it's too much for Tare.
Maybe it's too high. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
true.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
he's also 22,
yeah, yeah.
like the other, like Economides, like Lombardi. Although he looks like he's already like a finished product somehow.
Yes.
But
Well,
then,
he already played in Champions League.
yeah, I'm checking now the news, and he says, yeah, it's true. And he says, Iranian Messi urges World Cup 2018 draw co-host to wear a hijab for ceremony, which is, yeah, it's interesting. Which it makes the headlines in England for these other reasons, whereas he probably should make the headlines for his footballing ability, but that's normal for tabloids.
That's one of the quality of Iglitare. He finds this
Mm,
kind of players in small team who hasn't got the visibility
that
of
kind of
big
visibility. Yeah.
teams, etc. He's able to think about Milinkovic, Savic, etc. He's able to track this player and bring them
Mm.
to Rome before they
No,
become too popular.
Vittorio, to be honest with you, this is great. I don't like Tare. I never liked him, and he also banned me from the press box for 4 months, which is not great. But to be honest with you, it's impressive because when I was reading last year, like Lazio, number of scouts and which Serie A teams use. I think Udinese were top. They were using like between 25 and 50, and they were spread across all continents. But obviously they were doing the job as well for Watford. And when they had Granada, then they sold Granada. Whereas Lazio had zero. It was like the worst in Serie A, so they didn't have any scout. But in fact, by himself, all himself, he manages, as you say, to unearth these kind of gems, which is pretty impressive because, in modern football, is not something you can do by yourself. So he either has some hidden, contributors to his job, which might be the case, or is really clever, as you say, in go into lower leagues and find a player which who might be able to make that next step.
He
the
said
next
once
step up.
that in Formello he has this incredible room with a big screen and a software that allows him to
Yeah.
see videos of every player, and then he goes, if he rates the player good, he personally
He goes on person, to
watch the match because and it's true, you don't know how much you can believe scouts rating players, so it's always good to have a chance to see them. And Tare, knowing very well European football, speaking something like 5 languages, that's helping him a lot. And he has really good relationship with a lot of agents, etc. He made mistakes again.
Yeah, a lot.
Especially in the past, but
Still,
he improved a lot. And think about Hernanes, Felipe Anders, even Luis Alberto. These are incredible signings he made. He brought Strakosha to Lazio. So of course he's not perfect. He made mistakes. We all know about that. And but he's improved a lot, and he brought a lot of interesting players to the squad. So really good performance from Iglitare. We hope he continues like that.
He continues,
Especially this January.
In terms of, I don't know if you wanted to add something in terms of transfers. But,
no, I mean,
no?
I really believe that Lazio is so close to the top. If this January they can sign a key player, top player, Lazio can really fight for the top 4 positions.
Yeah, it's true, because I remember, like, I don't know, I keep thinking about 6 years ago when, in January, I think Lazio were probably 2 points off the top positions. So AC Milan eventually won the league. But that moment in January, it was like AC Milan 23 points, Lazio 21 or 20, something like that. So everybody expected Lazio to, add some fuel to that momentum. And they weren't really a great team because they weren't really playing, good positive football, whereas tactics with Raya were a bit negative as well. So we expected them to do something, but then they always say, well, the team, the the flow of the game is good. We're playing well, we're top level, so we need to repair. We don't need to repair anything in January. It's fine. And then obviously we lost the Champions League with, I think, Udinese was the last spot. So they will need to add some, as you say, one top player in order to boost the squad a bit. We will need it because we will play European football as well in the spring, and we want to progress. They want to progress, so they will need some extra energy, if anything. So it will be very, very important. But in terms of talking well about the club, which is not something I really do very often, but in this case I want to do it as well, because I've seen today they opened a new store in city center at Piazza San Silvestro. So it's a Macron store.
Yeah,
but,
it's not an official Lazio one. It's a Macron store, which is sponsor of Lazio. They just renew, so it's going to be long-term deal.
Good partnership, yeah. But so Lukaku was there, Murgia was there, De Vrij was there, and there was a good queue outside the shop as well, which is pretty good because last time I went to Rome, I was walking in Via del Corso and I thought, okay, the usual Roma shop I know in Piazza Colonna, okay, that's one. But then suddenly in the middle of Via del Corso there is a Nike store, which is actually kind of Roma store as well, and then at the end, going to Piazza del Popolo, they opened a new store. So basically Roma had 3 official stores, more or less. So 2 official stores plus the Nike store in the city center. And I thought, geez. And they have another Nike store in Termini, and they have another, they're buying, what was a former Lazio point in Via Farini. I think they're buying that space as well. And that's, they don't really need that, because it's just off Termini station. They already have one, but no, they want another one. So I thought, God, Lazio really lacking some visibility space in the city center, which is
key.
I can't accept this. It's key, exactly, because of visibility and everything else. So this is a good step forward. Hopefully there will be at least one more to come. It's like January signings. I hope there is another shop, an extra shop, like an extra player and an extra shop at some point.
We have to say when the Lotito and Tare do positive things, we are not against Lotito, we are not pro Lotito. We want to rate, we are free to say what we're thinking. If Tare makes mistakes, we don't have any single problem to say that was a mistake. Same thing when they do positive things, we are free to say it, and we have no obligation. So absolutely, what you said before was perfect. And I repeat it, Tare made mistakes in the past. Lotito made a lot of mistakes in the past. Now things are getting better. And, we don't have anything personal with them. So we can say it because we are honest. And we are only saying that.
The only thing I keep probably criticizing is I think we seem to be always too slow to react to opponents' strategies in every area. It might be in the transfer market, it might be in the marketing department, it might be we seem to be too slow. Eventually Lazio get there, but sometimes they get there too late, that's my point most of the times, to be honest with you. They get there, but they get there too late.
Especially in the marketing team, Lazio is very old style.
Yeah, because something like I was told, and I saw the pictures, that they're gonna sell as well, like old replicas, which is fantastic. From old replica shirts. Amazing. Like from the 1971, obviously 1958, the Coppa Italia, which is great. But this is something, for instance, the English clubs, they've been doing it for ages. You can go to any. Most of the English club shops, even at Luton Town 2 weeks ago, I saw old style replica shirts from the Luton side of 1980s. It's something that eventually you can work it out, but it's been there for ages, and Lazio eventually get there, which is great. But they got there quite late.
To be honest, not a lot of Serie A team does this thing, so
no,
that's not that bad.
Probably only Juve, I think.
Maybe
Inter. I think Inter as well. Yeah.
But for example, this celebration of the radio, Lazio have been the first Italian team to set an official radio. I mean, it's not even in English,
It's too much. Yeah.
Yeah, come on. Anyway,
Yeah,
Federico, I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you're a busy man, and it was
it's been a
really
pleasure. Yeah.
my pleasure to have you on board on Thursday. And guys that you've been hearing this podcast, please tell us if you enjoy the Thursday show, so we can decide to add it in the schedule of Lazio Lounge. I think it can be useful, and with the Federico here, it's been a great show. But tell us. You can comment on Twitter, Facebook, on iTunes. You can review the podcast, rate it on YouTube, and please tell us if you're interested in the Thursday show. Thank you, Federico. Have a nice rest of the week. And
thank you, Vittorio. Thank you, guys. Yeah, hopefully. Bye. Forza Lazio.
It's Lazio's moment.
Thanks for listening to this podcast. Remember, you can follow Lazio Lounge on Twitter and Facebook. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spreaker and YouTube. And always, Forza Lazio.
I'll tell you what, Lazio will be drinking copiously